Hello everyone and welcome to Echoes in the Dark. I am Bloodborne. Good to see all of you in here. As always, just starting, my man. Just starting Cold Fells. So, yeah. Good to see you guys again after last week. Our chat with Cordovan, community manager. We talked last week before Update 19 launched. And now we get to talk after Update 19 launched. So let me turn this back up just a smidge here. There we go. Yeah, so what are you guys' thoughts on Update 19? What do you guys think? I'm pretty hyped on it. I think it was pretty good so far. Bacon, what's up, buddy? Cold Fells, what's going on? Akmar, what's up? Good to see all you guys. The Update 19 for me has been pretty solid. I like the epic story has been fantastic as always. Yeah, it's been pretty good. You know, being able to see the places that we're going into now has just been awesome, and I'm really hyped to see, you know, where that takes us going forward, which most of us know where that is, but you know. So let me see what you guys think about Update 19 in the chat, and we'll kind of talk about it for a little bit, and then I want to dive into, after that, we're going to dive a little bit into pure speculation. It's pure speculation. We have no information about the Mordor expansion. We have no... We've got nothing, so I just want to hear from you guys and see what you want out of it. Red Cloud, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Lord Zabu, good to see you as well. Yeah, the cutscenes. Yeah, cutscenes are dope. I'm glad that we got some vignettes back. We got some good cutscenes. It's just been good. But yeah, so... I mean, let's see, Lord Zabba says, I loved the visuals when we went to the Black Gate. Spoiler! Yeah, so... Yeah, the cutscene was pretty awesome. And honestly, if you guys have not been that far into the game, my apologies. We'll try not to do too much stuff as far as spoilers because we'd like to save that for you when you actually get there and get to experience it for yourself. That being said, you know, there's a lot of good story. Picking all the flowers. Yeah, so that is not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be, you know, just because there are plenty of them out there. And that was a concern originally through some of the beta builds, but seeing it on live, it's not really that bad. Any of you guys get out there and purchase a premium house or premium kin house? Let me see you guys in the chat if you have a new premium house. Also, let me see what you think about the premium houses. Lord Zabu already has a full armor set from the files of extracts. Dang. That's pretty legit. I know some people that got that stuff like the first day. So that's pretty legit. That's pretty legit. Hilky says I'm level 21 at the moment. Hey, you know what? You got to start somewhere, right? Right? You got to start somewhere, and that's all good. That's part of the enjoyment of the game. Honestly, is that early on content. That early on content is really the basis and that foundation for everything going forward. So, I think take your time, enjoy it. Pike is level 7. Pike needs to come over and because he doesn't live that far away from me. He just needs to come over and we need to play. Let's see here. Started 8 years ago. Awesome. Awesome. Yes, you do need to get back in game. Absolutely. You had no choice to download the update. Vandenwar has a premium house. Hard to make rooms like the other housing because the spacing between hooks almost needs more. Really? All right. Dantel says, I feel like my bird may maybe has more DPS, just maybe. Yeah, I honestly have not played mine yet since the update. When you can't even put chairs next to the table. Okay, I would probably bug that if you haven't already. You probably have. But yeah, so update 19 is pretty good. You know, it's one of the quarterly updates. Well, I guess it's kind of quarterly quarterly every 6 months, whatever. Been really good. Been really happy with it. That is something that I loved seeing from this game. Honestly, is the very, very good updates like this. I really can't say enough about the world team and the guys like Made of Lions and Chris Pearson who write the stories. Just fantastic. Very, very good work. You know, I want to go back on a couple more tunes and really dissect it a little bit more. If you guys watch the live streams over on my channel, you'll know that I kind of burned through it a little bit. You know, I obviously know what's happening in the story, and but some of it I did kind of breeze through a little bit just so I could keep it going on the stream, because there are some longer scenes. So, but other than that, really, really good. Okay. So aside from update 19, the bulk of what I wanted to talk about tonight, again, is purely speculation. We have no facts to back up any of this information, but I just wanted to get a chat going, a little bit of dialogue between you guys. What is it that you want to see from the Mordor expansion, if we have one? I mean, it's sounding pretty good at this point, like we're going to have one. Again, pure speculation, because it's not set in stone. But what would you like to see from it? I have a couple things that I have right off the top for myself. Maybe get you guys some ideas flowing. But for me, one of the big things that I would like to see is enough of a level cap increase that would really deter the usage of the previous high-end gear. Charles wants an instance called Storm on Mordor. Wouldn't that have to be a skirmish, though, dude? Wouldn't that have to be a skirmish? Meg says, I need to see Frodo and Sam. Yeah, I think a majority of people would want to see a session play there. Dantiel says, Shelob, Shelob, Shelob. Yes. I think there's a couple raid spaces that would make sense in this one. I really think, obviously, Shelob would make sense for, I think that would make sense for maybe a lair raid. Like, what are you guys' thoughts on that? But I think, you know, it would make sense from anybody who's played the content in both Osgiliath and in the Pelennor Fields as far as the instances go. I think that story-wise, it seems like we would head to Minas Morgul at some point and clear it out. You know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's quite a while after Aragorn's coronation that they go back in there and clean that out. I think it's quite some time, if I'm not mistaken. But that would make sense based on anybody that's done the raid and dealt with Gothmog, and even doing things like the Keys of Harland, when the final boss, when you fight them, you know, it says Minas Morgul beckons me. So it does sound like that would make sense as a raid space. If not, maybe some smaller instances as well. One thing I would not like to see is 3-man instances. I would love to see a lot more 6-man content. Based on the amount of activity we see around featured instances, there are plenty of people doing this stuff. So, and I'm sure they have their numbers to justify it. Goldfell says he wants epic line quests for creeps. That could be pretty interesting, honestly. That'd be pretty cool. Vandenoir says level 120 because 115 just doesn't sound endgame enough. I was personally thinking 115, but 120 sounds alright. Skirm instance, as long as it has 3 control flags, lots of enemies, I'm good with it. Meg says you can upgrade the gear without a level cap increase, but if it's an expansion, come on, you gotta have a level cap increase. Ah, that's just me. I like the traditional stuff. What's up, Gussie? How you doing? Caviella, how are you doing? Good to see you. Geek is us. What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Every time I see his hair, I wish I could take it and wear it myself. It's looking pretty okay tonight, I ain't gonna lie. Jeannie wants to see a worsted or a goat worsted skin. Why not just get some war goats? Ooh, Vandenoir, I like that. Make Minas Morgul kind of how they did DG. Break it up into multiple spaces. Yes. That would be legit. I could get behind that. I hate the level cap increases because all it has done for me in the past is break up my raid groups. I'm sorry to hear that, but I mean, if people don't like leveling, there's a lot of ways to level at this point. You don't have to necessarily do, the questing. Yes, Meg, that's my opinion as well. I share that sentiment. If it's an expansion, we need to get everything. Crafting, PvP, instances, raids, epics, multiple epic books, I would think. Session plays, level, yeah, just the whole shebang. Let's do it. What else we got here? I hate to say it, but please, for the of all things MMO, a bigger quest listing window. Yeah, I could go for that. Actually, like kind of a pet peeve of mine for a long time, since I actually play on a larger, higher res display than 1080p, has been potentially, can we get an HD UI? I don't want to do a skin or something from another third-party thing. I want a native. I like native stuff, and I'd actually like to see that where we could get, a UI that scales or scales up or scales down a little bit more appropriately. I'm personally a stickler for things that look sharp and crisp on the screen. If they're blurry, I just don't like it. I would love to see an HD UI though, and bring that a little bit more current. Let's see. On a serious note, I would really be disappointed if Mordor is like any of the areas that they release. Areas should be 100% be unable to be explored by. See, that's not how this game works, though, dude. That's just I totally agree with you that Mordor should be difficult. It's not the end game area. Like there could be portions of it that would be Fellowship, kind of like the Great River had the Limelight Gorge. That would be something I could see happening with that. Now, I think that would make a lot of sense. Because if there's areas that you're going to be like, depending on the time sequence of which one you go into Mordor, like if we go in, say we go in and we do a session play as Frodo and Sam and we witness a ring drop. Say we do that, for example. But then when we actually, our characters enter Mordor, say Barad-dûr is already done, Sauron's defeated, but our job is to go in and clean it up, which that's kind of how we did it. If you think about it, that's how we did with Moria. The Fellowship had already been through, and we're in there cleaning up and helping the Iron Garrison get a foothold in there and trying to push back. Let's see. Yes, an HD UI would be fantastic. I would like that. Breaks up group is because people reach cap at different rates, and so people who get there quick are just bored and leave. That's their own fault. I'll call that out right now. If you level through everything and you're just sitting there waiting, that's your own fault. I mean, enjoy the content. That's just me, but I've had that discussion with many folks. The developers put their heart and soul into this stuff and make really good content, And then when people just blow through it, is, you know, just enjoy it. Take the time. You know, there's... I get it with raiders, especially because I've been in that situation as well of being server first, world first. There's something to be said for that. It's exciting. It's awesome. But at some point, you got to enjoy it too. But, you know, and like I said, that's not the only way to level cap would be through questing. So, you know, the people that want to... Yeah, we'll have to agree to disagree, but you know, if it's an expansion, I think that's going to be expected from a lot of people. Let's see, and certainly, like I said, that's what I'm just curious about. I'm curious what people want. You know, I know there's a lot of people out there that don't want a level cap increase ever again, and I get that as well. Let's see. Let me go back up here a little bit. With 300% or more EXP items, that shouldn't even be a topic to complain about. Really, it shouldn't. I mean, there's so many options for you to really resolve that as being an issue. But I totally get it too. I respect that. Let's see here. Charles just doesn't want to see a champ running through Mordor without worry. Well, even if it's difficult, I'm going to still run it through without worry. I'm just going shing shing. That's what we do. I can't see them doing like Angmar again, and... Whoa, where'd that go? Ah, there it is. And make the landscape content most fellowship. It's hard to say. It really is hard to say. I wouldn't mind it. You know, it's always been kind of my thought. It is an MMO. You know, so let's see. Yeah, so you're looking for a longer quest tracker on the sidebar. So I could get behind that. That sounds pretty good. Yeah, Cold Fells, I'm not even gonna touch PvP. That's a whole separate ballgame. Because honestly, with PvP, a lot of people have we've talked about this on my streams and stuff like that. As far as the PvP goes, I would like to see it normalized and simplified. You know, I take Audacity out of the mix, take Essences out of the mix, just make it true skill-based PvP. Like, with the amount of resources that Turbine has to do something like this, I think how complex something like their PvP system is, the best thing they could do is simplify it. That's my opinion. I would like to see it that every champion that goes out there has the same set of specs and whatnot. The only variance on that being rank. I personally would like to see all of the buffs. Kind of like, I think there's too many buffs out there. You know, there's something I would like to see the keep situation be resolved by, if you own the keep, you can port between the keeps. There's some other games that have that feature, and I think that's kind of nice. It gives you incentive to move about, allows you to move about the map quickly. I would like to see for PvP the maps and the mounts go away. You know, you have to make a conscious decision to go over to TR or up to Lug or something like that, or in the sake of, like, that may actually entice people to use the Osgiliath map a little bit more if the buff situation is corrected. So those would be things I'd like to see, and I think that would really help balance PvP as well. I know that's a concern of a lot of people, is balance. Well, what does balance mean? Balance is a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Some people think balance means that any one player should be able to go toe-to-toe with another player and potentially beat them. That's balance for 1v1, and that, in this situation, I would think would be nearly impossible. Because of the different spec setups, I really just don't think that's something that's feasible. Now, Turbine has said for a long time that PvP in this game is optimized around a group setting. Now, I've heard 6 and 12. The situation with that could really be resolved, you know, if we do if we simplify it, like all minstrels have the same stats. You know, all champions have the same stats. Just normalize it so all the classes are the same within their respective class, and then you can start to really balance things out. And the reason I say this could potentially work is because of things like level scaling. Yes. 1v1 is an arena style, absolutely, and I love arena style. Don't get me wrong on that. I would actually love to see some arena stuff happen in this game. And I think actually if we normalize the PvP structure, that is something that could happen as well. And I would really, really love to see that. Think about this. You actually already have a queuing system. You have an instance finder. You already have level scaling. And for the example, you have champions, for example, who back in the day when you were in PvE, our fervor stance back then actually took a minus 30% incoming healing modifier. When you went out to the Ettenmoors into PvP, that went away. So there is the ability to modify skills within a space, and I think that's could be used between that, level scaling, because we know we can adjust stats and things like that. We can modify your character based on the space they're in. You know, if you look at things like when you do the when you were doing things like the epic storylines that required 6 people back in the day, and you would get the super buff, the inspired buff, which I know there's a sore spot with that in Moors, but there are things that can be altered to your character, and I would really truly love to see PvP. I would really like to see PvP become what a lot of the great PvP games, in my opinion, are. They are games where all of the other stuff is taken out. So you don't have to worry about this person that spent all the hours in the tier 2 challenge raid and they got all this gear and whatnot. And then you got this person that comes in and is, we'll say, the weekend warrior that has maybe 5 to 10 hours to play, but he's a fantastic player. That's what I would love to see, is those people can go toe to toe and have a legit fight. Because I think that's healthy to a PvP environment, is having a level playing field and it's purely based on skill. Because then you find out who the real winners are, like who is really beating who, and again, that would also find out really quickly how overpowered or underpowered a specific class is if it's all normalized and you have the same skill set. You know, if I go, if 10 champions go up against 10 defilers and, you know, 5 of them win, 5 of them lose, okay, that's probably pretty balanced then. So, you know, I think Audacity is not a good system to use anymore. I don't think it was really a good idea to bring it in. We saw issues with gating things by another mechanic, like back in Moria when we had Radiance. You know, a lot of people were upset about that, and it got removed. But then we got a gating system on PvP, and some people don't even use it. Like when I go out there, I don't even use the Audacity gear. I just take my Pelennor stuff out, and I just go have fun. I think that would really allow for a lot better PvP experience, and I think it would allow for them to open more maps and use current things. Like, I would love to be able to go queue into a 3v3 in Trouble and Tuckbaroo using the instance finder, queue into a PvP version of that where you have 2 rounds, for example. You have where the creeps are defending because they've already taken over the Great Smeals, and you actually have to, as a freep, go take it back. And then on the flip side, you could have the Freeps on round 2 defending from the Creeps taking it. So those are situations, I think those are some really good potential things to really enrich the PvP experience in this game to where everybody can enjoy it. And the people that would benefit from it are the people that are still going to spend the most time out of there because they're still going to rank up. So they're going to get those marginal increases to make their person just a little bit better than the person that is lower rank. Because you still have to give some incentive to spend that much time out there, other than the fact that you just flat out love PvP. That's what I'm thinking. So I don't know. What do you guys' thoughts on that? I think it could work. I obviously I can't really say how much that what that would look like from a development standpoint, and I don't know. It just seems like all the pieces of the puzzle are there. It's just they need to be connected. I would really love to see some arena-style PvP in this game. Even if we just test it out. Let us test it out on Bull Roar or something like that. Throw up an arena and let people queue into it and see what happens. I'm very curious to see what would happen in a scenario like that. I would like to see it. Yeah, the issue with the Osgiliath map is it was considered just a big push-pull. And I had a resolution for that I talked to a few people. Yes, 1v1 on the top of Orthanc. Absolutely. What was I looking at there? There's a comment from Meg. Yes. The push-pull. Push-pull. So, the big issue was that people were just running straight down the middle, and it was pushing and pulling right down the center bridge of Osgiliath. So, I thought what would be kind of interesting is for that middle bridge to be open, you had to control both bridges. Now, you could argue that it would just be a push-pull around the outer ring. But if you wanted to actually take the middle bridge, and you would need to control both bridges. So if all three were open, you were pushing the map. Now that might be too much, I don't know. Just something to change it up from you're just going down the middle. And that would also keep, that would design to push people around. So like if, say the creeps own the bridge, and they just keep pushing down the middle, that would entice me to go out around and flank from behind and try to take their sides of the bridges, because then all the NPCs on the middle of the bridge would flip in their favor, and there you go. You know, because I think that's the biggest issue with that map being a push-pull, is that the middle of the map is a literal straight shot down the map. But, to be fair, when I go to PvP, a lot of times that's all I see anyway, is I see a GV camp, or a Grams camp, and it's a push-pull between Lug, or it's a push-pull between TR. When it's raid versus raid, that's what you get a lot of times. There's not a whole lot of that small group stuff, which I know that people really do love. Yes, Pathfinder, I agree with that. I agree with you. So yeah, I don't know. There's some solutions out there. That's something to look at. But I'm kind of curious to see what's possible. I'd love to really just be able to test out a queuing system, for 3v3s, and see what happens. See, is it something that people like? See if it's something that is worthwhile investing in. Let me scroll back up here a little bit. So for those of you guys that are just joining, we're kind of talking. We talked at the beginning of the stream about U19, some of the things we liked about it. The second part, we're really just doing pure speculation on what we would like to see out of a Mordor expansion. And a lot of what we talked about right now is we want a little bit of everything. We want it to be a full-blown expansion and really get the meat and potatoes of an expansion. And I agree wholeheartedly with that. I think that's a very important thing. If you want to really push the content forward in a meaningful way for everybody, you need a little bit of everything. Let's see here. The Telerian would like a separate deed tracker. I could get behind that. I like that. I don't like how they're intermingled. I mean, maybe if you add more spaces into the overall tracker, and that might be a compromise on that. Maybe you're just like, heck no, I want that by itself. Slogsters, no, I am not a GM. I am not a dev. I am simply a player that's been playing the game since 2007. and I wanted to create a show on this stream specifically to open dialogue between players that may not typically get to interact with people. So this show's been running for about a month, a little over a month now. And basically what I wanted to do is pick a topic, and that way it gave people an opportunity to come in here and talk. Because one of the issues I've always found with the forum method is it's very slow. And it deters a lot of people, because it's the same, handful of folks that have a discussion about every topic almost. And, we get a different segment over here on Twitch. We get a different segment on the people that are doing the YouTube content. We get a different segment on the people doing the podcast side of things. So there's a lot of different segments. There's people that do Facebook. There's people that do Twitter. There's people that only talk in-game. So there's a lot of different segments. And, I really wanted to try to provide another avenue for people that may not otherwise feel like they have a say, and give them an avenue to talk. Because seeing a quicker moving dialogue can sometimes kind of get the juices flowing as far as ideas and a little bit more cohesive feedback. So we kind of talked about the instances, what that might look like. Maybe taking Minas Morgul and breaking up, kind of like Dol Guldur was, where you have a few of the smaller instances and then you have the raid. I could see that working. I think that would be potentially a good thing for it going forward. Pathfinder, I agree. A full-blown LOTRO X-Pack would make a huge surge for the player base. I think anytime you get talking about a iconic zone like Mordor, you're going to see a surge. People are excited. We've been talking to some of the other content creators, and we're seeing an uptick in their usage from or their consumption from viewers, because we're like, whoa, they're talking about Mordor? I want to hear more. And so I think it's a very smart spot right now where we're at is, we keep talking about this, and right now is a great time to give feedback for the game, because we know they're trying to get more door. Definitely not less door. No. Was there a surge for Helm's Deep? I think what happened with that is it was a quick, and then it came back down. There was a lot of negativity around it. A lot of people did not like some of the changes that were made. But I think honestly, at the rate that we're going now, where we see the epic story moving forward, we see updates where we get new instances, we get crafting updates, where we're getting all these things, but they're kind of tiered and they're like staggered. I think having a one big push with a big X pack is going to be a good thing. Let's see here. What could work out as well? A 6v6 or 12v12 Black Gate. That could be pretty cool. Really, any PvP. I think there should be some type of love given to PvP for Mordor. So I think the big deal with that is if you look at what type of space is Mordor, what story is being told. Okay, you're talking about the pinnacle of the story, really. I mean, the pinnacle of the fighting had already been done. We just experienced that through, the Siege of Minas Tirith and the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. So I think it'd be a good space for a little bit of PvP action as well. Those folks that have talked about wanting a full-blown, yes, I want this to be a full-blown PvP zone, they've already pretty much said that's not going to happen, because that's not what everybody wants. And yeah, so I agree with that, Pathfinder. Like the trickle method, I think it keeps enough the people just like, okay, well, there's stuff coming next month, or enough movement here and there to entice people to keep playing. But if you want to surge, the things that we're doing right now between all the content creators, with all the folks that are doing stuff on Twitch, having Cordovan doing his weekly stream and really being as transparent as possible on the forums, and doing all these interviews, I think we're in a great spot. Moving forward, say what you will about the past, but we're in a good spot, and I think this is a really good time to be playing the game and get excited for what's coming for this game. I really am excited for it. I still want to raid the Shire with my Reaver, do my crazy Reaver dance under the party tree. That'd be something to watch. Raising of the Shire PvP expansion. Let people watch on. Yeah. That could be fun. That could be fun. But yeah. I see a bunch more people in here. So what we do, like when I asked that same question I asked a little bit ago, was what do you want to see out of a Mordor expansion? What would make that tick for you? Like I said, for me, it would be a full-blown expansion. Caitlin Cloud says, for me, Mordor is going to come down to lots of story and session play, probably the size of Moria minimum. Fair. Fair. Yeah, I feel you, Pathfinder. They do get a surge every time they do a big expansion, that's for sure. Full-blown expansion. So think back to what we had for Mines of Moria, Siege of Mirkwood, Rise of Isengard. Those type of ones where, and when I say that too, I even stretch out the content, like the stuff that you were getting like Tower of Orthanc, where it wasn't released right at the time of the X-Pack. And the instances that went with it. I'm talking about all that together at once. I loved how Moria went. I loved it. We had content at the beginning. You had story-driven stuff. We actually wrapped up the previous book in the beginning of Moria. So that was the very first part of the epic that you did while you were in Moria. It wasn't jumping straight to Volume 2. They actually had released, I think, what was it? Book 15 of the epic was released with Moria, so that was the tie-over, and then you wrap that up and then you went. I think that was good. So when I'm talking about a full-blown expansion, what I would say to that would be 2 volumes of the epic book, or like finishing up the previous volume and starting the next one. A sizable level cap increase. Multiple regions/zones for landscape content. The one thing I would say I don't want to see are, at this point, I really just don't want to see any new systems added to the game. I think the game has enough systems. So, for example, when we got Mines of Moria, we got the legendary system. When we got Siege of Mirkwood, we got the skirmish system. When we got Rise of Isengard, I forget what came out with that. There was some... I can't remember what came out with Rise of Isengard. But when we moved into Riders of Rohan, we got mounted combat. So I would really... that's what I would like to see. And, add a crafting tier. Yeah, I agree. We don't need any new systems. Just take the ones we've got, refine them, and make them good. Maybe make some tweaks to some of the outdated ones. I would like to see fellowship maneuvers updated. Now is the time, since the burglars are being worked on and we're going to have new content come out. I would say that is an opportune time to make those adjustments and changes. Don't mess with the combat system. Combat is a good place. It does not need major changes. Crafting your own cosmetics. That's an interesting cause. I like that. Don't forget an X-Pack only mount and cosmetic set. Yes. Gotta have those perks for buying, right? Revamp epic battles. Most boring thing I've ever done in the game. So epic battles, like I personally would say, I hope I don't see any more of them. That is another system that I just, it told a story, but for how much we needed to do it to get endgame geared, I just didn't like that. It was an okay experience to go through. Let's see here. Yeah, so that's the kind of stuff I would really like to see from an expansion. I would really like to see those game spaces touched on. Really not adding any new systems. Yeah, that could be pretty cool, Pathfinder. Actually, like finding a kinship. Let's put that in place in the social panel, maybe? Oh, Gussie, they'll never release those numbers. They've never given numbers on really anything. Yeah, so numbers they're really just not gonna say. Any number that you come up with is really gonna be unverified and whatnot. EverQuest 2 Guild Finder system? No, I did not. I know Warcraft had one as well. That makes it easy to find a guild because you actually put like what you're looking for, you know, and you can basically on the fly fill out an app and it'll find you appropriate guilds. It's the same 50 players with dozens and dozens of alts. Fair. Yeah, so I mean, I think there's a lot of cool stuff in here, and this is okay. So it's the same thing in EQ2. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, something like that would be really cool. I think it would help a lot of players find stuff. You know, there's a lot of stuff scattered everywhere, and that's been kind of a thing for me. Is information is scattered as well. So like finding relevant information on the forums. Well, you might go to a kinship site that has a fantastic forum built for a specific class or something like that. Yeah, anything that's rumors like that, I'm not gonna touch on stuff about licenses. That's just business. I'm gonna treat this just like it's this thing is gonna keep going for 20 years. That's the way I'm gonna treat this. If it shut off tomorrow, oh well, on to the next thing. But that being said, stuff like that, I just leave it to them. Whatever works out, works out. Bring back my LOTRO. Well, I did ask Jerry about something like that, Cordovan. I asked him something about that, and they don't have a web team. So, not going to happen. Yes, Chromite, I agree. The license crap is so boring. People just need to let that stuff be. Right? I mean, it's not something we can affect at all. We can affect how many people play the game by talking to our friends about it and playing with our friends and enjoying the content and giving feedback when we don't like it. Or when we do like it. We can give feedback as well. Yes, Coldfells, there's some other games that have done similar things where you've been able to like very, very, very simple version of it. But for like your kinship, you'd be able to have a kinship tabard or a cloak even to have as a cosmetic, which would be cool. Yeah, my LOTRO quickly became LOTRO Facebook, pretty much. Yeah, so I think that stuff could be pretty cool. I think it could help out a lot, and yeah, we actually got to get Pike to play past level 7. Need to do that. Getting Charles to do a quest. You guys are comedians tonight. Cool. So, like, I mean, it sounds like at least a couple of us have the same idea on a few things here, which is kind of cool. But you know, knowing that something like this is in the works, my suggestion and my challenge to you guys would be, if you don't currently use the forums, put in some player suggestions, put in the things that you would like to see, and try to make it as detailed and specific as possible. You know, don't go like write a novel about it. Like we talked about this with Cordovan last week, as far as giving feedback. Excuse me. You know, don't just say like, I want PvP changes. Okay, we know people want PvP changes, but what do they actually want? But also don't write, you know, a narrative about all the changes that you want to see and why, and here's this thing, and like, you know, provide the bullet points. I want to see this change because X, Y, and Z. Let's see here. I'm not done with the current update yet, but this is interesting thoughts. And hi Dara. What if I want to consider giving the player base of the game like they did with Esheron's Call, if and only if LOTRO shuts down? Hard to say. Hard to say. I would say no to Dantiel. The problem is the development team is so limited that they can't do much. Seeing what they do on a quarterly basis, I literally would have to disagree with that. I mean, they do quite a bit. Oh, I don't doubt their great reads. I don't doubt their great reads at all. But just when we're trying to give targeted feedback to get some changes in there, you know, we want to get them to read as much as possible. Yeah, it would literally have to have everything Lord of the Rings related stripped out of it. Unless Lord of the Rings IP became, what is that? Well, like Fair Play, or no, that's not what I'm thinking of. Yeah, whatever. I want there to be GM monsters spawned in areas for expansions. That could be fun. But yeah, guys, the whole idea of this stuff is to generate dialogue. And that's exactly what you guys are doing, and I'm loving seeing it and loving reading it. I typically want to keep this around an hour. So, you know, I would really, really urge you guys to use the tools that you do have. So things like the forums, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you do use. You know, I understand not everybody is going to use the forums. I know everybody's not going to use Twitter, so on. And not everybody's going to come here to Twitch, which you should. Yes, Creative Commons, that's what I'm thinking. Or public domain, those two, yes. That is what I was thinking of. Thank you, I'm too tired. So, with that, I kind of want to... kind of want to wrap up here, so if you guys have any final thoughts that you want to talk about, I want to shout out a couple things here. This week this is the last week for the push that I'm making with the promotions and things like that to get partnered on Twitch. For those of you who do not know, my main channel is twitch.tv/Bloodborne. I am there almost every night. I stream quite a bit every night. Usually between 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, or 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, usually in that time frame. Might be a little bit later start, a little earlier start, just depends. But the idea is, I do want to, I've been making a push recently, very hard to get partnered on Twitch, and really that is to get this game some more exposure. We're heading into the right time for that to happen as well. If we are truly going to get an expansion, we're going to have a lot of people that are curious about things and coming back in. So we want to get all of our streamers and all of our content creators and all of our podcasters and everybody. We want to get all of that out there so people know that that is a thing, and we know that, you know, people have a resource to check stuff out. I would really love to see that come true. And it's not just for me. I've received some criticism of that in the past that, well, Blood's just doing this so he can get partnered and that's it. No, that's not it. I'm here. I've been playing this game since 2007. I'm here because I love this game and I love this community. That's why I do this. I stream because I enjoy streaming. I enjoy meeting you guys. I enjoy meeting you guys and hanging out with you. You know, if I just played the game and did it how I do it, which is I'm typically a one-trick pony when it comes to servers, I wouldn't know a majority of you guys. Would have never met you. So it's a great opportunity for us to meet other players that we would not have otherwise had an opportunity to talk to. And that's what I really enjoy about it. And what better way to make that even better, to get more exposure, is to get one of us partnered. And what I would like to do, honestly, is if I got partnered on Twitch, I would love to help the other content creators do the same thing through rating channels and hosting channels and things like that. That's what I'm trying to do, regardless of what anybody is telling you as far as, you know, I'm trying to do this for money or whatever. Guys, I have a full-time job. I don't need it for that. I'm doing it for the exposure for our community, and I'm really pushing it forward so that we can have more people enjoy this game, and so we can have more people having fun in Middle-earth. Okay? That's my spiel on that. I would love to see you guys all in the streams across the board, not just mine. We got a lot of streamers in the channel right now. If you are a streamer, I know the Moobot thing does its thing, but let's see some faces in the channel. I want to see you guys posting your links and seeing, you know, I want to see those guys active. If you are a streamer for Lord of the Rings Online, even if you stream it periodically, so if you're not even necessarily one of the, you know, LOTRO stream team members, yeah, so there's the Moobot thing. You know what I mean, Meg. I would love to see everybody that streams Lord of the Rings Online get some love. Because we do have a great community, and there's some things that we can do to really, really support this team. And it all comes down to you guys. It all comes down to you guys. You know, it's 11:30 Eastern time here, and we got 54 people in here just watching me talk and have a discussion here on the chat. So I know we can do stuff like this. And right now is a great time to be playing this game. We're moving into an even better time to be playing, because we're gonna get some really, really great content coming up. And I feel it. I haven't been this excited for content, honestly, since Mines of Moria. I remember the feeling of when Mines of Moria was announced and how giddy I was at the thought of going into one of the greatest dwarven realms in Middle-earth, and they certainly delivered. So, that is what I want to leave you guys with. Get hyped for LOTRO. Get hyped for your content creators. You know, if you know somebody that is a content creator, share their information. Let's get it done. All right. On that note, I'm going to head out, probably head in game for a little bit. And, oh yeah, sorry. Wait, one last thing. So tomorrow, Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern time. So really the same time as this stream for the most part. We still have one more mount to give away. We still have one more Steed of the White City to give away. It is available on the store right now, but you can get one for free on my channel tomorrow night. Thursday, we have our Thursday stream with Andang. Myself and Andang, we play on Landreval. We created 2 new characters, and we're just having fun experiencing the old content and pushing forward. That starts at 10 p.m. as well. Andang will be streaming that on his YouTube gaming site, which if somebody has that link, if you can drop it in there for me right now. And then secondly, I will be on my channel at twitch.tv/Bloodborne. Then on Friday is the finale, guys. It's the last one I got. It will be another 5,000 turbine point giveaway. Same deal. It will be on Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern time is the start time. We've had some stellar Oh, it was until the 20th. Okay, so it's exclusive again. So you can only get it from my channel. All right, cool. Awesome. So yeah, so the 5,000 turbine points, I've got one more of those left. And we've had some pretty high benchmarks set, guys. I mean, we had 155 viewers on Friday. We had some great hosts from some other streamers out there. We had a gentleman who periodically plays LOTRO. It's kind of like a thing that he does like on the side. His name is I Ate Your Pie. And he is typically a speedrunner for like things like Super Mario, and like he likes to do stuff with Paper Mario. Plays Overwatch as well. But he hosted a channel, and we ended up with another 545 people in there. So that's why I'm talking about community is important and networking is important. We have an opportunity to do something pretty awesome here, and I'd love to see it happen. So I hope to see you guys in the streams throughout the week. You guys can find me over at twitch.tv/Bloodborne, and here on Sundays at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. My schedule is up over on my profile page. You guys head over there, follow the channel, and I hope to see you guys soon. Take it easy.